Ren Calloway, 34, never imagined a birthday party would destroy her family. As she stared at the officer standing on her porch, demanding she explain the stolen property, she realized blood wasn't thicker than water after all. The family who had abandoned her daughter hours earlier was now falsely accusing her of theft. Her phone buzzed with a message from her sister, "Pay us $1,850 or we'll make your life hell." She had 24 hours to decide. Hey there, amazing viewers! Before I dive into how my entire family betrayed me and how karma finally caught up to them, I'd love to know where you're watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy family revenge drama. Trust me, you'll want to stick around to see how this family feud ends with the ultimate justice served. The Calloway family had always prided themselves on maintaining a perfect image in the affluent suburb of Oak Ridge Heights. For generations, they had been the embodiment of the American dream. Successful careers, beautiful homes, and picture-perfect family gatherings that were the envy of their social circle. Ren had grown up believing that family loyalty was paramount, a value her parents Richard and Eleanor had drilled into her and her older sister Vanessa since childhood. Ren had always been the family outlier. While Vanessa followed the expected path, prestigious university corporate career, marriage to a wealthy businessman, and 2 immaculately behaved children, Ren had chosen a different route. After college, she pursued her passion for graphic design, started her own small business, and fell in love with Marco, a talented chef from a working-class background. When she became pregnant with their daughter Lily at 27, they weren't married yet, causing the first major rift with her traditional family. Despite their initial disapproval, the Calloways eventually seemed to accept Marco and adored their granddaughter Lily. Ren worked tirelessly to maintain these family relationships, always showing up for their events, sending thoughtful gifts, and making the hour-long drive to family dinners twice a month. She believed the rough patch was behind them and that blood truly was thicker than water. What Ren didn't realize was that beneath the surface of family harmony, resentments and judgments were festering. Her parents and sister maintained a group chat without her, where they often criticized her lifestyle, parenting choices, and Marco's background. They referred to Lily as the accident, and regularly complained about having to lower their standards to include Ren's family in events. For Lily's 7th birthday, Ren had planned something special. After saving for months, she rented a small event space, hired a face painter, and ordered a custom cake featuring Lily's favorite book character. The party wasn't extravagant by Calloway standards, but it represented significant financial sacrifice for Ren and Marco, who had recently faced unexpected medical bills after Marco injured his hand at work. The week before the party, Ren called her family to confirm their attendance. "Of course we'll be there, darling," her mother assured her. "Vanessa and the kids are so excited, and your father has that special gift he's been talking about." Ren felt a wave of relief and happiness. This party would be perfect for Lily, and would further cement the family bonds she'd worked so hard to repair. The day before the party, Ren received a text from her sister asking for the exact address and time. Again, she responded with the details and a thank you message for the special gift her parents were bringing. Vanessa replied with a thumbs-up emoji. That night, as Ren and Marco finalized the party preparations, she felt a rare sense of completeness. Her daughter was healthy and happy, her business was slowly growing, her relationship with Marco was strong, and her family was finally accepting the life she had chosen. For the first time in years, she wasn't the family disappointment. What Ren couldn't see was the conversation happening in the family group chat she wasn't part of. Her sister had messaged, "Do we really have to spend our Saturday at some kiddie party in that part of town?" Her father had replied, "Eleanor booked us last-minute tea times at the club. Much better use of a beautiful day." Her mother had added, "Ren will understand. That child has a birthday every year after all." With a few casual messages, they had decided to abandon their promises, unaware of the chain of events their callousness would set in motion. As Ren fell asleep that night, she had no idea that her understanding of family loyalty was about to be shattered, or that the perfect facade the Callaways had maintained for decades was about to develop its first visible cracks. By this time next week, nothing would ever be the same. Saturday morning arrived with perfect weather and an excited Lily bouncing around the house since dawn. Is Grandma coming soon? Will Cousin Emma like my dress? Is Grandpa bringing the special surprise? Her questions came in rapid succession as Ren helped her into the special birthday outfit they had chosen together. A teal dress with silver stars that made Lily feel like a character from her favorite book series. They'll all be there, honey, Ren assured her, checking her phone again for any messages from her family. There were none, but she pushed away the small flicker of worry. The Callaways were notoriously last minute, with everything except business appointments. Marco loaded the car with the party supplies they hadn't already delivered to the venue the night before. His hand was still bandaged from his work accident, but he insisted on carrying the heaviest items himself. Today is going to be perfect, he told Ren, kissing her cheek as they finished packing. You've done an amazing job planning everything. They arrived at the venue an hour early to set up. The space transformed under their careful attention. Streamers in Lily's favorite colors, a table for presents, activity stations for the young guests, and a special chair decorated with balloons for the birthday girl. Ren kept glancing at her phone, but still no messages from her family. At 1:30 p.m., the first guests began to arrive. Classmates from Lily's school and their parents, neighbors from their apartment building, and a couple of Ren's close friends who adored Lily. By 2:00 p.m., the party was in full swing with laughter and excited children's voices filling the room. But there was still no sign of the Callaways. Ren stepped outside to call her mother, trying to keep the worry from her voice. The call went straight to voicemail. She texted both her sister and father, "We've started the party. Are you on your way?" No response. By the time the cake was due to be brought out at 3:00 p.m., Ren had called each family member multiple times with no answer. She pasted on a smile for Lily's sake, but Marco could see the hurt and confusion in her eyes. As they gathered everyone to sing happy birthday, Lily's gaze kept drifting to the door, waiting for her grandparents and cousins to arrive with the special surprise they had promised. After the cake, as the children were engaged with the face painter, Ren's phone finally chimed with a message. It was from her mother. "So sorry, dear. Something came up last minute. Your father's golf tournament was rescheduled. We'll make it up to Lily soon." XOXO. Ren stared at the message in disbelief. A golf tournament, that was the emergency that kept them from their only granddaughter's birthday party. Before she could process this, another message arrived, this time from her sister Hope. "The party's going well. We had a last-minute invitation to the Hendersons' lake house. Emma and Jacob send birthday wishes to Lily." The betrayal hit Ren like a physical blow. Her family had simply found better things to do than celebrate Lily's special day, activities they hadn't even planned until after confirming they would attend the party. They hadn't even bothered to call, just sent casual text messages as if their absence wouldn't matter. Worse still was seeing Lily's face fall when Ren gently explained that her grandparents and cousins couldn't make it after all. But what about the special surprise Grandpa was bringing? Lily asked, her eyes filling with tears. Ren had no answer that wouldn't make things worse. Marco stepped in, distracting Lily with the next party activity, but the damage was done. Throughout the remainder of the party, Lily's enthusiasm was diminished, her smile not quite reaching her eyes as she kept glancing toward the door. As they packed up after the last guest had left, Ren found herself shaking with a mixture of hurt and anger. The venue manager approached, looking uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, but there seems to be an issue with the final payment for the cake. The bakery called, saying their delivery person was told by someone in your family that you would pay them directly instead of through our venue as originally arranged. This was news to Ren. What I paid for everything in advance through you, as agreed. The manager showed her the message from the bakery. Someone had intercepted the cake delivery in the parking lot and told the delivery person that the payment arrangement had changed. The description matched her father perfectly. As they drove home with a sleeping Lily in the back seat, Ren tried calling her parents again. This time her father answered, his voice casual as if nothing was wrong. "Oh, hello, Ren. How was the little party, Dad? Did you tell the cake delivery person that I would pay them directly instead of through the venue?" Ren asked, struggling to keep her voice calm. "What? No, of course not. We weren't even there," he replied, sounding genuinely confused. "We were at the golf club all day. Ask your mother." But as Ren pressed for details, his story began to unravel. He claimed they had been at the club since early morning, but Ren had received the cancellation text in mid-afternoon. When she pointed this out, he became defensive and abruptly ended the call. That night, after tucking Lily into bed with reassurances that her grandparents loved her very much despite their absence, Ren sat alone in the kitchen, scrolling through social media. What she found shattered any remaining illusions about her family's excuses. There were fresh posts from both her sister and mother. Not at a golf tournament or lake house, but at an exclusive spa day, followed by dinner at the city's newest upscale restaurant. The timestamp on her sister's Instagram story showed them arriving at the spa less than an hour after supposedly being too busy to attend Lily's party. The final blow came when Ren noticed what her mother was wearing in the photos. A distinctive new designer handbag that looked remarkably similar to the one Ren had been saving to buy herself as a business milestone reward. The same design she had mentioned to her mother during their last family dinner, showing her the website on her phone and explaining how it represented success to her. As the pieces clicked into place, Ren realized that her family's betrayal went beyond merely skipping the party. The realization left her feeling hollowed out, questioning every interaction she'd had with her family over the past several years. Had it all been a facade? Had they ever truly accepted her choices, or had they merely been tolerating her while judging everything about her life? Marco found her still sitting at the kitchen table at midnight, tears streaming down her face, as she showed him the social media posts. "They didn't even care enough to come up with believable lies," she whispered. "And somehow they interfered with the cake payment. I don't understand why they would do that." Marco wrapped his arms around her, his expression grave. "I think it's time to reconsider how much access they have to our lives," he said quietly. "This isn't just about hurting you anymore. They hurt Lily today, and that's unforgivable." Ren nodded, feeling something harden inside her. The Calloway family values of loyalty and appearance had been revealed as hollow. Tomorrow she would begin the painful process of establishing boundaries with her family, something she had never imagined would be necessary. But first, she needed answers about what had happened with the cake payment, and why her family had chosen to so callously abandon Lily on her special day. What she couldn't know was that this betrayal was just the beginning. Within 24 hours, the situation would escalate beyond anything she could have imagined, forcing her to confront not just her family's true nature, but also her own capacity for forgiveness or revenge. Sunday morning brought no relief from the previous day's hurt. Ren woke early, her mind still processing her family's betrayal. Lily had cried herself to sleep, asking why her grandparents didn't love her enough to come to her party, and the sound of her daughter's sobs had burned something inside Ren that could never be repaired. She made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through more social media evidence of her family's real activities yesterday. There they were, smiling in a series of photos at the country club, then the spa, then the restaurant, all while Lily had waited by the door for them to arrive with the special surprise they had promised. Marco joined her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. What do you want to do about this? He asked quietly, careful not to wake Lily. Ren shook her head. I need to understand why. Why would they do this to Lily? She's just a child who loves them. Her phone rang, her sister Vanessa's name flashing on the screen. Ren answered, her voice cool. Hello, Ren, thank God you picked up. Vanessa's voice came through, sounding strained. We have a situation. A situation, Ren repeated. Like the situation that kept you from Lily's birthday party yesterday, while you were getting massages and posting about it on Instagram. There was a pause. Look, that's not important right now. Mom's handbag is missing and she thinks you took it. Ren nearly dropped her phone. Excuse me, the new Valentino bag. She brought it to show you yesterday, except you didn't come yesterday, Ren interrupted. You all ghosted my daughter's birthday party for a spa day. Remember, don't be dramatic, Vanessa snapped. Mom says she left the bag in Dad's car when they stopped by your venue to drop off Lily's gift before heading to their other commitment. This was a blatant lie. They had never shown up at all and there had been no gift. Ren felt rage building inside her. Vanessa, stop lying, you weren't there. I have dozens of witnesses, including the venue staff. Well, the bag is missing, and Mom is certain it was in the gift bag for Lily. It's worth $1,850, and she needs it back immediately. Ren struggled to make sense of what was happening. Let me get this straight. You're claiming that Mom put her brand new designer bag inside a child's birthday gift, and somehow I stole it, the same bag she was carrying in the Instagram photos from the restaurant last night. There was a telling silence. Before Vanessa spoke again, her voice now taking on a threatening tone. Look, we know you've been struggling financially with Marco's medical bills. Maybe you saw an opportunity. All we're asking is that you return the bag or pay Mom back the $1,850 she spent on it. The audacity was breathtaking. I didn't take anything because you never came to the party. You were too busy at the spa, which you documented extensively on social media. Those posts were from earlier in the week, Vanessa lied smoothly. Mom needs either the bag or the money by tomorrow, or she'll have to involve the authorities. Theft is a serious matter, Ren. Before Ren could respond, Vanessa hung up. Moments later, a text arrived from her mother, very disappointed in you, Ren. We raised you better than to take things that don't belong to you. $1,850 transferred to my account by tomorrow, or we'll have no choice but to file a police report. Marco read the messages over her shoulder, his expression darkening. They're trying to scam you, he said in disbelief. Your own family is trying to extort money from you. Ren felt numb. But why? They have money. They don't need $1,850 from us. It's not about the money, Marco said quietly. It's about control. They're punishing you for creating a life they don't approve of. The truth of his words hit Ren hard. For years, she had been trying to earn her family's approval, making excuses for their behavior, desperately maintaining connections for Lily's sake. But this crossed a line she couldn't ignore. She texted her mother back, I didn't take any bag. You never came to the party. I have security footage from the venue proving no one from our family showed up. Stop lying and leave us alone. Her father called next, his voice stern with the authoritative tone he had used throughout her childhood when delivering punishments. Your mother is very upset, Ren. Just return the bag and we can forget this unfortunate incident. There is no bag to return, Dad, you know that. You all chose a spa day over your granddaughter's birthday, and now you're making up lies too. What? Punish me. Get money from us when you know we're struggling with Marco's medical bills. Don't take that tone with me, he snapped. We've always been generous with you despite your poor choices. The least you could do is make this right. My poor choices, Ren felt something break inside her. You mean falling in love with someone who doesn't meet your social standards, having a child without being married first, starting my own business instead of joining the family company. Those choices you have until tomorrow to transfer the money, he said coldly. Your mother is prepared to file a police report if necessary." After he hung up, Ren sat in shocked silence. Marco immediately began going through their records, pulling up the venue, contract, the security confirmation, and emails confirming all payments had been made in advance. "They won't really call the police," Ren said, trying to convince herself. "That would be insane." "I don't think we should underestimate what they're willing to do," Marco replied grimly. "Let's gather all the evidence we can." The venue must have security cameras showing they never arrived. Throughout the day, the messages continued. Vanessa sent photos of a receipt for the handbag, dated just 3 days earlier, along with a veiled threat about how this misunderstanding could affect Ren's small business if word got out. Her mother texted hourly updates counting down the time left to pay, while her father sent a message about how disappointed he was that Ren would tear apart the family over a simple mistake. By evening, Ren had received a formal email from her father, written in his capacity as a corporate attorney, outlining the evidence of her theft and the potential legal consequences. It was surreal. Her own family fabricating an elaborate lie to extort money from her after abandoning her daughter. "They're bluffing," Ren told Marco as they put Lily to bed that night. "They just want to scare us into paying." But at 9 p.m., Ren's phone buzzed with a message from her sister: "Pay us $1,850 or we'll make your life hell." The threat was accompanied by a screenshot showing that her mother had already drafted a police report ready to submit. Ren couldn't sleep that night, her mind racing between disbelief, hurt, and growing anger. How had it come to this? What had she ever done to deserve such treatment from her own family? More importantly, how could she protect Lily from people who would stoop to such tactics? She decided that she would not give in to their demands. She would not transfer money for a fictitious theft, no matter what threats they made. If they wanted to destroy their relationship with her and Lily forever, that was their choice. But she would not be bullied or scammed, not even by her own blood. What Ren didn't realize was that her family was serious about their threats. Deadly serious. And by morning, her refusal to comply would bring consequences she couldn't have imagined, pushing her toward a decision that would change all their lives forever. Monday morning arrived with a pounding on Ren's front door that jolted her awake at 7:15 a.m. Marco was already up getting ready for his early kitchen shift while Lily was still asleep in her room. Ren hurried to the door, peering through the peephole to find 2 police officers standing on her porch looking stern and official. Her heart dropped as she opened the door. "Can I help you officers, Mrs.?" Calloway Russo, the taller officer, asked, consulting a notepad. "It's Miss Calloway," Ren corrected automatically. "Marco and I aren't married yet." The officer nodded, making a note. "I'm Officer Daniels, this is Officer Rivera. We're here about a reported theft." "May we come in?" Marco appeared behind her, his work uniform only partially on, concern etched across his face. "What's going on? They actually did it," Ren whispered in disbelief. "They called the police." The officers stepped inside, and Officer Daniels explained. "We received a report from Eleanor Calloway regarding the theft of a designer handbag valued at $1,850. She claims you took it from her vehicle when she visited your daughter's birthday party on Saturday." Ren felt dizzy with the audacity of the lie. "They never came to the party," she said, her voice shaking. "My entire family ghosted my daughter's birthday. They were at a spa and a golf club instead. I have proof." Officer Rivera raised an eyebrow. Mrs. Calloway provided us with a detailed statement describing how she and her husband stopped by the venue briefly to drop off a gift, leaving the handbag in the gift bag by mistake. Marco stepped forward. "That's completely false. We have security footage from the venue showing they never arrived. We have dozens of witnesses who can confirm they weren't there. We also have these," Ren added, pulling out her phone to show the Instagram posts her mother and sister had made during the party hours, clearly showing them at the spa and restaurant. Officer Daniels examined the posts, his expression thoughtful. These do appear to contradict Mrs. Calloway's statement. There's more, Wren said, pulling up the threatening texts from her sister and parents. They've been trying to extort money from us since yesterday. They demanded $1,850 by this morning, or they'd make our lives hell. These are their exact words. The officers exchanged glances as they reviewed the evidence Wren presented. It was becoming clear that this was not a simple theft case, but potentially something much more serious. Mommy Lily's small voice came from the hallway. She stood there in her pajamas, rubbing sleep from her eyes, looking confused at the presence of police officers in their living room. Are these the people who made Grandma and Grandpa miss my party? Wren's heart broke all over again. No, sweetie, these officers are just here to help us with something. Why don't you go back to your room and I'll bring you breakfast in a bit? Okay. Marco gently led Lily back to her room, while Wren continued explaining the situation to the officers. My family has always disapproved of my life choices. This is their way of punishing me for not following the path they wanted. Officer Rivera nodded. We see family disputes escalate in unusual ways sometimes, but filing a false police report is a serious offense. Will you be charging them? Wren asked, feeling a strange mix of vindication and sadness. We need to complete our investigation first, Officer Daniels replied. But based on the evidence you've shown us and the contradictions in Mrs. Calloway's report, there's certainly cause for concern. As the officers prepared to leave, promising to follow up with the venue about the security footage, Wren's phone rang. It was her father calling. She showed the officers the screen. Should I answer? Officer Rivera nodded. Put it on speaker if you're comfortable with that. Wren answered the call. Hello, Dad. Wren, have you reconsidered your position? Richard Calloway's voice was cold and businesslike. The deadline for transferring the funds has passed. The police are here, Dad, Wren said evenly. I've shown them the evidence that you and Mom lied about coming to Lily's party, and about the supposed theft. I've shown them the threatening messages you've all been sending me. There was a long pause before Richard spoke again, his tone completely changed. Officers, there seems to be a serious misunderstanding here. My wife was understandably upset about a missing item, but we never intended Mr. Calloway. Officer Daniels interrupted. We'll need you and Mrs. Calloway to come down to the station to discuss the report you filed. Filing a false police report is a criminal offense in this state. This is absurd, Richard spluttered. Do you know who I am? I've been practicing law in this city for 30 years, then you should be well aware of the consequences of filing false reports and attempted extortion. Officer Rivera replied calmly. We'll expect you at the station within the hour. After the call ended and the officers left promising to continue their investigation, Wren sat heavily on the couch, the reality of what had just happened washing over her. Her own family had tried to frame her for theft, had called the police on her, all because she had refused to pay them money she didn't owe. Marco sat beside her, taking her hands in his. Are you okay? I don't know, she admitted. I never thought they'd go this far. What kind of people do this to their own daughter, their own granddaughter? People who care more about control than family, Marco said softly. This isn't your fault, Wren. Her phone buzzed with texts, frantic messages from her mother, claiming it was all a misunderstanding, from her sister accusing her of overreacting and getting the family in trouble, and from her father threatening legal action for defamation. Wren silenced her phone and turned to Marco. I need to protect Lily from them. I can't let her grow up thinking this is what family means. Marco nodded. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. As they sat together formulating a plan to shield themselves and Lily from further manipulation, Wren's mind drifted to something her grandmother had told her years ago. Family isn't always blood, Wren. Sometimes it's the people who want you in their lives badly enough to put in the effort. For the first time, Wren truly understood what her grandmother had meant. And as painful as it was to accept, she knew what she needed to do next. The question wasn't whether to cut ties with her toxic family. That decision had effectively been made for her by their actions. The question now was how to ensure they could never hurt Lily again, and how to hold them accountable for what they had done. You know, speaking of family dynamics and difficult decisions, I've been sharing these stories for years now, and I'm always amazed by how many of you have faced similar situations. If you're finding value in hearing how others have handled family betrayal, please hit that like button to help this video reach more people who might need to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. We've got plenty more real-life drama and lessons coming your way. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had to make tough choices about toxic family members. Now let's get back to how this story unfolded after the police left my home. The days following the police visit were a blur of legal consultations, evidence gathering, and emotional processing for Wren. The officers had taken her family's false report seriously, and after reviewing the venue's security footage confirming the Callaways never arrived at the party, they were investigating the case as potential fraud and filing of a false police report. Wren had been advised to cease all direct communication with her family, but that didn't stop the barrage of messages coming her way. The tone had shifted dramatically, from threats to desperate pleas, from demands to offers of forgetting the whole thing if Wren would just be reasonable and not pursue charges. "They're scared," Marco observed, as they reviewed the latest email from her father, which veered between threatening legal action and begging Wren to think about family reputation. "They never expected you to stand up to them like this." Wren nodded, a strange calm settling over her. The initial shock and hurt had given way to a cold clarity. "They've been bullying me my entire life. They thought they could just keep doing it forever." Marco squeezed her hand. "What's our next move?" Wren had been pondering this question intensely. Simply letting the police handle the false report charges didn't feel sufficient. Her family had tried to extort money from her, had hurt Lily deeply, and had shown no genuine remorse, only fear of consequences. There needed to be a reckoning, a way to ensure they could never threaten her family again. "I need to go through Grandma Calloway's documents," she said suddenly. "The ones she left me when she died." Marco looked confused. "Your grandmother's papers?" What for Wren had rarely spoken about the small locked box her grandmother had given her shortly before passing away 5 years ago. Eleanor Calloway's mother had been the family outlier before Wren. A smart, perceptive woman who had married into the Calloway fortune but never quite embraced their obsession with status and appearances. "She told me to keep these safe, that I might need them someday if things with the family ever became untenable," Wren explained, as she retrieved the ornate wooden box from the back of their closet. "I never wanted to open it. It felt like admitting I had failed to maintain family peace." The box contained a collection of documents, old photographs, and a leather-bound journal. As Wren began examining them, the picture that emerged was startling. Her grandmother had methodically documented decades of the Calloway family's less than savory business practices, tax discrepancies, and ethical breaches. There were records of her father using the family's influence to bury a drunk driving incident when Vanessa was in college, documentation of questionable property transactions through their real estate holdings, and evidence suggesting her parents had misrepresented assets during a business partnership dissolution. Most damning was a folder containing records of a family trust that had been established by Wren's great-grandfather. According to the documents, the trust was meant to be divided equally among all Calloway descendants upon reaching the age of 35. A milestone Wren would hit next year. "They've been hiding this from me," Wren whispered, stunned by the discovery. "There's over $2 million that should be partially mine, and they've been managing it as if it belongs solely to them." Marco examined the trust documents, his expression grave. "This looks like serious financial misconduct. No wonder they've been trying to keep you dependent on them all these years." Among the papers was a letter addressed to Wren in her grandmother's elegant handwriting. "My dearest Wren, I pray you never need to use what's in this box. But if the day comes when Richard and Eleanor's true nature threatens your happiness or security, don't hesitate. The Callaways understand only one language: leverage. Your grandfather and I made many mistakes raising Richard, chief among them teaching him that appearance matters more than integrity. Don't make the same mistake with your beautiful daughter. With all my love, Grandma C." Wren felt tears streaming down her face as she read the letter. Her grandmother had seen this coming years ago, had known that eventually, the family's toxic dynamic would reach a breaking point. "What are you going to do with this information?" Marco asked gently. Wren considered the question carefully. She had no interest in the Callaway money beyond what was rightfully hers according to the trust. But the leverage these documents provided was precisely what she needed to ensure her family could never threaten her or Lily again. "I need to speak with a lawyer," she decided. "Not just about the false police report, but about the trust and these other documents." The next morning, Wren met with Catherine Zhang, a respected attorney specializing in both family law and financial misconduct. As Catherine reviewed the documents, her eyebrows rose higher and higher. "Ms. Callaway, these records indicate several potential legal violations," she said finally. "The mismanagement of the trust alone could result in significant penalties. And if these tax discrepancies can be verified..." She trailed off, looking at Wren expectantly. "I don't want to destroy my family," Wren said slowly. "I just want them to leave us alone. I want to protect my daughter from their manipulation and ensure they can never threaten us again." Catherine nodded thoughtfully. "Then what you need is a legally binding agreement. We can leverage these documents to negotiate terms that will protect you and your daughter, while allowing your family to avoid the more serious consequences of their actions." Together, they drafted a comprehensive proposal. The Callaways would acknowledge Wren's rightful share of the family trust to be transferred immediately into an account for Lily's education. They would sign a legally binding agreement to cease all contact with Wren, Marco, and Lily unless specifically invited. They would make a formal apology and retraction of their theft accusation. In return, Wren would not pursue further action regarding the evidence in her possession. "This isn't blackmail," Catherine assured her, seeing the conflict on Wren's face. "You're not demanding anything that isn't legally yours, and you're offering them a way to avoid consequences they legitimately should face for their actions. You're being remarkably generous, in fact." When the proposal was complete, Wren authorized Catherine to contact her father's attorney. The response came within hours, a request for an immediate meeting at Catherine's office. Richard and Eleanor Callaway arrived at the attorney's office, looking nothing like the confident, polished couple Wren had known all her life. Her father's face was ashen, his usual commanding presence diminished. Her mother's perfect makeup couldn't hide the strain around her eyes. Vanessa wasn't with them. Apparently, they'd decided to keep her away from the legal proceedings. "Before we begin," Catherine said once everyone was seated, "I want to be clear that my client has authorized me to release certain documents to the appropriate authorities if we cannot reach an agreement today." Richard cleared his throat. "There's no need for threats. We're family. This has all gotten out of hand over a simple misunderstanding. A misunderstanding that involved filing a false police report and attempting to extort money from your daughter," Catherine replied coolly. "Not to mention the deliberate concealment of trust assets that rightfully belonged to her." Eleanor flinched visibly at the mention of the trust. "How did you?" She stopped herself, glancing nervously at Richard. Catherine laid out Wren's terms clearly and concisely. As she spoke, Wren watched her parents' expressions shift from disbelief to anger to resignation. They had never expected her to fight back with such precision and effectiveness. They had never believed their disappointment of a daughter would outmaneuver them. "This is extortion," Richard said finally, but there was no conviction in his voice. "No, Mr. Callaway," Catherine countered. "This is the consequence of your actions." Ren is entitled to her share of the trust by its very terms. She's offering you a courtesy by not reporting the financial irregularities these documents reveal. She's being extraordinarily reasonable given that you tried to frame her for theft. After hours of tense negotiation with Richard attempting to modify terms and Eleanor occasionally breaking into tears, they finally agreed to Ren's conditions. The papers were drawn up and signed. It was done. As they prepared to leave, Eleanor turned to Ren, her voice breaking. "You've destroyed this family." Ren met her mother's gaze steadily. "No, Mom. You did that when you chose your image over your granddaughter's happiness. When you were willing to call the police on your own daughter rather than admit you'd lied." Richard couldn't even look at her as they left. Ren sat in Catherine's office long after they'd gone, feeling not triumph but a profound sadness for what could have been, for the loving family she had always tried to believe in. 2 weeks after the agreement was signed, life had settled into a new rhythm for Ren, Marco, and Lily. The legal matters were resolved, with the police dropping their investigation at Ren's request after her family made a formal retraction of their theft claim. The trust funds had been transferred into an account for Lily's future education. Most importantly, there had been no contact from the Callaways, who seemed to be honoring the no-contact agreement. Lily, however, was struggling to understand the sudden absence of her grandparents, aunt and cousins from her life. Despite their flaws, she had loved them, and their betrayal at her birthday had been followed by their complete disappearance, with no explanation she could fully grasp at 7 years old. "Why can't I call Grandma to tell her about my school project?" she asked one evening as Ren tucked her into bed. "Is it because they didn't come to my party?" Ren sat on the edge of Lily's bed, searching for the right words. "Sometimes, honey, people don't treat us with the love and respect we deserve. When that happens, we need to create some distance to protect ourselves." "But they're family," Lily insisted, repeating the mantra Ren herself had believed for so long. "Family should be the people who love us unconditionally and support us no matter what," Ren explained gently. "Sometimes those people aren't the ones we're related to by blood." The conversation left Ren emotionally drained. She had freed herself from her family's toxic influence, but explaining the concept of cutting ties with relatives to a child was heartbreaking. She wondered if she had made the right decision, if there could have been another way. The next morning, as Ren was working on a client project at her home office, the doorbell rang. She wasn't expecting anyone, and a flash of anxiety went through her. Had her family decided to violate the agreement already? Instead, she found her Uncle James standing on her porch. James was Richard's younger brother, who had distanced himself from the family years ago after a falling out with Richard over the family business. Ren hadn't seen him in nearly a decade. "Uncle James," she said, in disbelief. "What are you doing here?" James smiled sadly. "I heard about what happened." "May I come in?" Over coffee at the kitchen table, James explained that he had received a distraught call from Eleanor, who had painted Ren as an ungrateful daughter who had leveraged old family documents to extort money from them. "I knew there had to be more to the story," James said. "Richard and Eleanor have always had a talent for rewriting history to cast themselves as victims." When Ren told him the full story, from the birthday party betrayal to the false police report, James shook his head in disgust but not surprise. "They did something similar to me years ago," he revealed. "When I wanted to sell my shares in the family company to start my own business, Richard claimed I had stolen proprietary documents. He threatened legal action unless I sold my shares to him at a fraction of their value." Ren was stunned. "I never knew that. They told everyone you'd had a gambling problem and needed to be bought out for your own good." James laughed bitterly. Classic Richard. "No, I wanted to create a more ethical business model, one that didn't involve the shortcuts your father was taking. When I objected to some of his practices, he made sure I was pushed out." "Why are you telling me this now?" Ren asked. "Because you deserve to know you're not alone," James replied. "And because I want to make you an offer." James had built a successful marketing firm in the decade since leaving the family business. He had followed Wren's work as a graphic designer through her website and social media, impressed by her talent and creativity. "I need a new creative director," he said, "someone with fresh ideas and impeccable ethics. The position comes with full benefits, including comprehensive health insurance that would cover Marco's ongoing medical needs for his hand injury." Wren was speechless. The opportunity was exactly what she needed, a chance to grow professionally while providing better financial security for her family. But she hesitated, wary of any connection to the Calloway family dynamics. "This isn't about family obligation," James assured her, reading her concerns. "This is a business decision. You're talented, Wren. Your portfolio speaks for itself. The fact that we're related is incidental." "I need to think about it," Wren said finally. "Discuss it with Marco." "Of course." James handed her his business card. "Take your time." "And Wren, for what it's worth, I'm proud of you for standing up to them. It took me years to find that courage." After James left, Wren sat in contemplative silence. Her uncle's visit had shifted something inside her. The lonely feeling of being cut off from all family connections had eased. There were other Calloways who understood, who had experienced the same treatment, who had rebuilt their lives on their own terms. That evening, she and Marco discussed the job offer at length after Lily was asleep. "It's an amazing opportunity," Marco said. "And the health insurance would be life-changing for us. But what if it's some kind of trap?" Wren worried. "What if my parents put him up to this somehow?" Marco considered this. "Your uncle has been estranged from your parents for a decade. He built his own successful company. What would he have to gain by tricking you?" Wren had to admit Marco was right. Her paranoia was a side effect of years of manipulation by her parents. Not everyone had hidden agendas. Not everyone who offered help wanted to control her. The next day she called James and accepted the position with one condition: she would continue to operate her freelance business on the side, maintaining her independence, while contributing to his company. "I wouldn't have it any other way," James agreed readily. "Independent thinking is exactly what I'm hiring you for." Within a month, Wren had settled into her new role at James's company. The work was challenging and fulfilling, the environment supportive and collaborative. Everything the Calloway family business was not. Marco's hand was healing well with the improved medical care they could now afford, and he had been promoted to sous chef at his restaurant. Most importantly, Lily was thriving. The initial confusion over the family rift had given way to excitement about their improving circumstances. She loved visiting Wren at her new office, where James treated her like an honored guest, and the staff had embraced her as their unofficial mascot. One evening in late summer, as they sat on their small balcony enjoying the sunset, Wren reflected on how much had changed in just a few months. The family she had desperately tried to please for decades was now legally required to keep their distance. Yet she felt more supported than ever before, by Marco, by James, by her colleagues and friends who had rallied around them during the crisis. "Do you ever regret it?" Marco asked softly. Cutting ties with them, Wren considered the question carefully. "I regret that it was necessary," she answered finally. "I regret that they couldn't love Lily and me for who we are rather than who they wanted us to be. But no, I don't regret standing up for ourselves." She thought about the wooden box of documents her grandmother had left her. Not just as leverage, but as a warning and a gift. The truth had set her free, just as her grandmother had intended. What Wren didn't know was that across town her sister Vanessa was sitting in their parents' living room listening to them rewrite history once again, casting themselves as victims, Wren as the villain, and James as a traitor. Vanessa was nodding along, but for the first time she was hearing the distortions in their narrative, seeing the manipulation techniques they employed so skillfully. And she was beginning to question everything. 1 year later, Wren stood in the backyard of her new home, A modest but charming 3-bedroom house with a garden where Lily could play and Marco could grow fresh herbs for his cooking. The mortgage was manageable thanks to her position as creative director at James's now expanding company, where she had helped land several major accounts with her innovative design work. It was Lily's 8th birthday, and this time the celebration was everything it should be. The yard was decorated with twinkling lights and colorful streamers. Children's laughter filled the air as a professional face painter transformed eager faces into butterflies, tigers, and superheroes. Marco had outdone himself with a spectacular cake featuring characters from Lily's favorite books. James was there with his wife and teenage sons who had become like cousins to Lily. Wren's close friends had come with their families. Marco's parents had flown in from Chicago, bringing their warmth and unconditional love that had helped heal some of the wounds left by the Callaways' betrayal. As Wren looked around at this gathering of people who truly cared for them, she felt a profound sense of peace. This was what family should be. People who showed up, who celebrated your joys and supported you through difficulties, who loved you without keeping score or demanding you conform to their expectations. The doorbell rang, pulling Wren from her reflections. Assuming it was a late-arriving guest, she made her way through the house to answer it. When she opened the door, she froze in shock. Vanessa stood on her porch, looking nothing like the polished, confident sister Wren remembered. Her designer clothes had been replaced with simple jeans and a sweater. Her perfect makeup was minimal, her hair pulled back in a casual ponytail. Most striking was the uncertainty in her eyes, an expression Wren had never seen on her always sure of herself sister. "Vanessa, what are you doing here?" Wren asked immediately, glancing around to see if their parents were lurking nearby. "I'm alone," Vanessa said, quickly reading Wren's concern. "Mom and Dad don't know I'm here. She hesitated, then thrust a wrapped package toward Wren. "I brought something for Lily's birthday. I know I probably shouldn't be here, but I couldn't stop thinking about missing another one of her birthdays." Wren didn't reach for the gift, her protective instincts on high alert. "We have a legal agreement, Vanessa. No contact unless invited." "I know." Vanessa looked down at her feet. "I'll leave if you want me to." To Wren's astonishment, tears filled her sister's eyes. "I've missed you. And I've been doing a lot of thinking this past year." Before Wren could respond, Lily's voice came from behind her. Aunt Vanessa. Lily pushed past Wren to look up at her aunt, her expression a mixture of surprise and cautious happiness. "Did you come for my birthday?" Vanessa knelt down to Lily's level, her voice gentle. "I did, sweetheart. But it's up to your mom if I can stay. I wasn't a very good aunt last year, and I need to make amends for that." Wren felt torn. Part of her wanted to protect Lily from any potential hurt Vanessa might cause. Another part recognized the genuine regret in her sister's demeanor. "Why now, Vanessa?" she asked, keeping her voice low so Lily wouldn't hear. After everything that happened, Vanessa straightened up, meeting Wren's gaze directly. "Because I finally saw Mom and Dad clearly for who they are. It took watching them do to me what they've always done to you." She explained that after Wren had cut ties with the family, their parents had turned their controlling behavior toward Vanessa. When she had begun questioning their version of events, suggesting that perhaps they should apologize to Wren, they had threatened to cut her off financially if she didn't stay loyal to the family. "I realized they only value me as long as I play by their rules," Vanessa said. "Just like they only valued you when you were trying to earn their approval. The difference is, you were strong enough to break free years ago. It took me until now." Wren studied her sister's face, looking for any sign of deception or manipulation. Instead, she saw only genuine remorse and what looked like admiration. "What exactly are you asking for here?" Wren asked cautiously. "A chance," Vanessa replied simply. "Not forgiveness yet. I haven't earned that. Just a chance to be the sister I should have been all along. To be an aunt to Lily who actually shows up for her birthdays." Wren hesitated, then made a decision. You can stay for the party. We'll talk more afterward. The relief on Vanessa's face was palpable. Thank you, that's more than I deserve. Vanessa's presence at the party was initially awkward, especially when she was introduced to James, who regarded her with understandable suspicion. But as the afternoon progressed, Ren observed her sister making genuine efforts, helping serve food, engaging warmly with Lily's friends, listening more than she spoke. Most tellingly, when one of the children asked Vanessa about her fancy watch, one of the few luxury items she still wore, she replied, "It's just a thing. The important things are the people we love and the time we spend with them." The Vanessa that Ren had grown up with would never have downplayed a status symbol. After the cake had been cut and the presents opened, Vanessa's gift turned out to be a thoughtfully chosen set of art supplies based on Lily's current interests. Most of the guests had departed. James pulled Ren aside before leaving. "Be careful," he warned gently. "People can change, but it takes time and consistent effort to prove it." Ren nodded. "I know. Trust has to be earned back slowly. But I think she might actually be trying." Once the backyard was cleaned up and Lily was inside playing with her new toys under Marco's supervision, Ren and Vanessa sat down on the porch swing. "I owe you an explanation," Vanessa began. "And an apology. What we did, all of it from missing Lily's party to the false accusation, it was cruel and inexcusable." "Why did you go along with it?" Ren asked the question that had haunted her for months. Vanessa sighed deeply. "I've spent my entire life trying to be the perfect Calloway daughter. I believed everything Mom and Dad taught us about appearance and status and family loyalty. When they decided to skip Lily's party for the spa day, I justified it to myself. Lily won't really care, she's just a kid. We'll make it up to her later, all those excuses." She continued, her voice thick with shame. "And then when Mom concocted the theft story, I told myself it was just to teach you a lesson about family obligations. I didn't think they'd actually call the police. By the time I realized how far it had gone, I felt trapped in the lie." "That doesn't excuse it," Ren said quietly. "No, it doesn't," Vanessa agreed immediately. "Nothing excuses what we did. I'm not asking you to forget it or pretend it didn't happen. I'm just hoping that maybe over time I can show you that I've changed. That I want to be part of your life, and Lily's life on your terms, not Mom and Dad's." Ren was silent for a long moment, processing her sister's words. "What happened to make you leave them now?" Vanessa's expression darkened. 3 months ago, my husband Daniel started questioning some of Dad's business practices. He's an accountant, you know, and he noticed discrepancies similar to what Grandma documented. When he brought his concerns to Dad, he was shut out, removed from family business meetings, uninvited from events. Last month, Mom told me I needed to divorce him if I wanted to remain a true Calloway. She laughed humorlessly. "Can you believe that my own mother telling me to divorce my husband because he questioned Dad's ethics? That's when it all finally clicked for me. What you've known for years. They don't love us, Ren. They only love the idea of us, the versions of us that fit into their perfect family narrative." "And what did you do?" Ren asked, genuinely curious. "I chose Daniel," Vanessa said simply. "We've moved out of the house Dad bought us. We're living in a small apartment while Daniel starts his own accounting firm. Mom and Dad have cut us off completely." The parallels to Ren's own journey were striking. "It's not easy, is it? Building a life outside their influence." "No," Vanessa admitted. "But it's real. For the first time, I feel like I'm living authentically instead of performing for their approval." She hesitated, then added, "Daniel and I have been seeing a therapist. She's helping me understand the patterns I've been caught in my whole life." Ren felt a surprising sense of pride for her sister's courage. Breaking free from their parents' toxic influence had been hard enough for Ren, who had always been the family rebel. For Vanessa, the golden child who had built her entire identity around being the perfect daughter, it must have been excruciating. "I can't promise anything," Vanessa Ren said finally. Trust is earned, and you've got a lot to make up for. But, she took a deep breath. I'm willing to give you a chance to be in our lives again. Slowly. On my terms. Tears spilled down Vanessa's cheeks. That's more than I deserve. Thank you. There are conditions, Ren continued firmly. No contact with Mom and Dad. If you're talking to them, you can't be talking to us. No sharing information about Lily or our lives with them. And at the first sign that you're falling back into old patterns or being their spy, you're out for good. Vanessa nodded solemnly. I understand. I've made my choice, Ren. I choose my real family. Daniel, you, Marco, Lily. Over the illusion Mom and Dad created. As they sat together on the porch swing, Ren realized that this was perhaps the most honest conversation she had ever had with her sister. The Calloway family secrets and manipulations had kept them from truly knowing each other all their lives. Now freed from that toxic dynamic, they had the chance to build something authentic. Inside the house, Lily's laughter rang out as Marco apparently did something amusing. The sound reminded Ren of what truly mattered, not appearances or status or family reputation, but love, honesty, and genuine connection. The journey hadn't been easy. The betrayal at Lily's party had led to painful revelations and difficult choices. But sitting here now with her estranged sister beginning the long process of redemption in a home filled with love and laughter, Ren understood that sometimes the most painful breaks are necessary for true healing to begin. The Calloway family would never be what Ren had once desperately wanted it to be. But in its place, she had built something better. A chosen family bound by love, rather than obligation. By authenticity rather than appearances. By mutual respect, rather than fear and control. And that she realized was the greatest revenge of all. Not punishing those who had hurt her, but creating a life so full of genuine joy and connection that their absence was no longer a wound, but merely a footnote in her story. Wow, I can't believe how many of you have stuck with me throughout this entire family drama. If you've enjoyed this story of betrayal and redemption, I'd be so grateful if you could hit that like button and subscribe to hear more real-life stories with unexpected twists. Have you ever had to cut ties with toxic family members or witnessed karma come back around? Share your experiences in the comments below. I read every single one and would love to connect with you. Thank you so much for being part of this community where we can share these difficult life lessons. Until next time, remember that sometimes the family you choose is more important than the family you're born into.